Chris, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. We're looking good now that we got the light going on in the background as opposed to no backlight of the last couple episodes. So yeah, it's definitely an upgrade for sure on the production end of it. But yeah. So with that then, thank you for your time. And for people who don't quite know about you or what your story is, give us a bit of a rundown, like who you are, kind of what's your story?
So, Kris Cacciotti, professionally, I'm a fund developer at the YMCA of Northeastern Ontario. So I cover Sudbury and North Bay YMCAs, where I do things like donor relations, special event coordination, grant writing, and things of that nature.
Nice.
Recreationally, I'm big into running, trail running, obstacle course racing, so Spartans, Tough Mudders,
Nice.
things of that nature. Into fitness for sure. 2 kids, wife Leslie, and just a super fun-loving guy that likes to children's book author.
Yes.
Recently.
Yes.
Children's book author,
which believe me, we'll dive into that later on in the show for sure.
Registered athlete with the Canadian Ninja League. I've competed at nationals and worlds in that sport. Yeah, so kind of very proud Rotarian. I'm a past president and current club service director for the Rotary Club of Sudbury Sunrisers. Always engaged in some kind of community level event, and yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty high level.
Nice. So then with those things, how this episode we've talked about how it's going to break down is I'd like us to focus on just kind of challenges we've faced, times that you felt that you couldn't really bounce back and from those experiences you've had in your life, and we'll kind of break down what went on in your head, what was going on in the scenario, and then how you managed to make the best out of the worst scenario situations if possible. How's that sound?
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. I feel like I'm a bona fide expert in that field, so
nice.
Very much stoked to chat about that and bring some enlightenment to the viewing audience.
That's awesome. So then we'll start with
hold on before we start. We discussed wine when we caught up on Wednesday.
What type of wine you drinking?
I have no idea. My mother-in-law brought this over, but I also have a Ryan Coke on the go too. So.
Oh geez, taking the edge off from all sides.
Well, nice. Dude, Friday night vibes.
That's
we're partying.
Man, one day when I get my own studio and I have people coming in to chat, then I'll probably I'll vibe a bit more with the wine and stuff. But not only do I not have any on me, I would have had I had not been, as discussed with my buddy, trying to do a mission before 8. But I got my water to keep my mouth wet and good for the conversation. Things can roll. So
that's the critical thing. As long as you got something to keep your whistle wet.
Yeah, that's it.
Good.
That's it, man. Nice. So yeah, so let's start off with then with your athletic career. So kind of take me through how all the Spartan races, the Tough Mudders, the Ninja Leagues, right? Take me through how that kind of started and how it kind of increased.
Yeah. So this is a pretty good one. This is a pretty good story. So I've always been a fan of like obstacle courses, whether they be like the inflatable kind as kids, and then American Ninja Warrior came out, and I was like super into it, and like the washouts and the like all these game shows and TV shows I had. I was always just so interested in doing those kinds of things. And then when we moved down to Toronto a couple of years ago, at the beginning of our journey with Everett, we found a Ninja Warrior facility like 10 minutes from my uncle's house where we were living. Oh, cool. So him and I went there and had like a super fun couple of hours, did all of the kind of Ninja Warrior obstacles that they had. The facility is called Ninjas.
Yeah.
Great facility, probably one of the first in Ontario,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, if not Canada. And had a great time. And then once Everett was born and we moved downtown
Mm-hmm.
to be at Sweet Kids,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, Leslie, like it's gonna be tough getting up to Vaughan. That's like a 40-minute commute, and I gotta get the car, and it
Yeah.
logistically just didn't make a ton of sense. And then that's way more time away from Everett and Leslie.
Yeah.
So Leslie actually found this place called Pursuit OCR at Dufferin. It was at Dufferin and Dundas.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there like 5, 6, 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. I'd skateboard there as a warm up. I'd
Nice.
jam there for like 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours a day, just to kind of like sweat out the demon, de-stress, enter like a different world where I was fully in control, and just
Mm-hmm.
like recenter, recalibrate, refocus, right? So I started doing that very consistently, got extremely good at it and
Nice.
fast at it. And then like just because, sheer coincidence, the like a couple of months, not even, after we moved back home, Apex Warrior opened in Sudbury.
Right.
So while all this was going on, I was Dennis, the owner, Dennis Legault, came up as a suggested friend on my Facebook. And I saw his profile picture was him doing like a high scaled Ninja Warrior obstacle.
Oh, sweet.
So I was like, yeah, so this guy should totally be my friend. So I clicked him up, and then I saw through his post that he was like getting ready to be opening this ninja gym. So I hit him up, and I was like, yo, dude, man, if you need a hand with anything,
Yeah.
just let me know, man. Like, I'm super passionate about the sport, and I just want to get involved. So me and my friend Matt, who's also very passionate about Ninja Warrior, actually helped him and his partner Gus actually build out the facility, like put the rig together, build the ramp wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I got into the outdoor obstacle course racing. Is Dennis is like a Spartan racer, like hardcore trail runner, and he's who got me into like full rip into trail running and Spartan training.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah. And the UNAA stuff, the ninja.
Yeah. Nice, man. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Like I can tell. So because unfortunately due to this pandemic that we're all facing around the world, I have yet to meet you in person. Sort of, though. Like what I mean by that is, and that's kind of how I connected with Connor, is through the Night of Mismatches event. So I was like my
you were there?
Yeah.
You
So
were there?
I went with my little brother's friend group, like Cam, who runs Capture. I had to run the slideshow while he did the cameras. So I was like back putting up the slideshows as everyone goes in their little montage videos as you walk out kind of thing. So doing that, I was like,
Nice.
man, that's pretty cool. So I got to watch everyone go and then throw down. So I had a lot of wine. So yeah, it was a pretty good night. So it was pretty cool to watch you guys do your thing.
Yeah, so you saw me come out victorious.
Yeah, I did, man. Yeah, that was sick. You're all flipping and stuff around the cage, around the ring, and I was like, oh man. No, it was wild.
Dennis, never forget. I know you're gonna see this.
You do a round 2?
Yeah, Connor and I were just talking about that. Very, very good chance that we get brought back to reprise our role, because the cool thing about that is that since Dennis and I are such good friends, we were able to really go all out on each other, because we knew was all love at the end of the day.
Yeah, you
right?
knew
Like,
there was no awkward boundaries. You're like, I don't know if I do this, he's gonna get mad at me, and
right,
then he's gonna get back
right,
at me. It's
exactly.
like, yeah,
So we were actually like, that was like a full tilt battle.
oh,
Like,
you could tell it was sick.
oh yeah,
Like it
full
was
tilt. Like,
insane.
and I didn't want to I wanted to destroy him, and he wanted to destroy me. Like,
For sure.
it was a battle out there. So
Yeah, all in the
um,
name of
it
charity.
was definitely a good way to open things up. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, no kidding, man. You guys were dropping like power bombs and stuff. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, is it like, let me know the secret. Did you guys plan much of that, or all of it, or none of it, or?
So this is how it went down. So it was a full tilt match,
Yes.
but we had like 5 or 6 things that we wanted to incorporate.
Oh, you had a
So
few spots for sure.
it was like we're gonna go, and then you go to kick me and I'll flip you backwards. Right, and then it's like, so we had a couple of big
Yeah.
things that we wanted to put in for entertainment value, like the flips and the slams and
Yeah.
all
Those are
that
sick.
stuff. So
Yeah.
we knew that we wanted to get it in there, but the full thing was a real match.
Nice. That's pretty sweet. I like that. I like that a lot. It looked pretty like because I was like, it looks like it could be scripted, but it looks too like it doesn't look like wrestling. Like, you know, when WWE does their like, it looks like really staged, but your
Yeah.
guys' episodes didn't. And it kind of like, I was like, okay, they definitely got spots in there. Like they definitely talked about stuff, but I don't know, because they're landing pretty good. I was like, they're landing like safely. Like, oh,
Right.
sick. Man, I can't get over that. But yeah, a second round, like a second event like that would be pretty sweet, I think, for the community especially.
Yeah, maybe even like a full tilt like an Apex Royal Rumble where we have like 8 people in there trying to like smash on each other.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. It'd be interesting to see how you kind of like make it different, but similar. And like when I was talking to Connor about the event as well, he said something along those lines. Like you want to make something that people will want to go towards doing, like want to see, but you have to play in the fine lines of what's like professional entertainment. Does that make sense? Or it's like you can't be too stupid and do all these crazy things, because people will want to watch it, but it kind of takes a damper on what you're actually doing at the end of the night. Like it's all for charity. Like it's to be a cool community event that you don't see every day, you know? So trying to make it unique without it putting a damper on anyone's reputation. So yeah, that's what I felt.
And I think he did that perfectly. I
100%.
think it was the event itself, like everything about it was executed like so well and on point. And I think that year 2 can only be up, man. To build on that momentum and the way that they're gonna the amount of footage and content that was captured that night will be like, they'll do wonders with that to like promote the next
100%.
one, and like there's just gonna be a snowball effect for sure. So
that'd be pretty cool to see.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I'm curious. We talked a bit on Wednesday about now we'll dive into the minutia of what we're going to talk about today. But it's what are some challenges?
Don't downplay it by saying minutia. Minutia is a cool word that I've heard in a sentence.
The details.
Right. But like minutia, now that it might just be my interpretation of it, but minutia seems like it has almost like an insignificance, like insignificant quality to it. What do you think?
I think so. I've heard it, the only times I've ever heard it in a sentence, they used it and then somebody said, "What is that?" And they're like, basically it means details. And
yeah, the small, precise, or trivial details of something.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
see, that's where trivial. What does trivial?
Oh, that's where you think it kind of gets passed over.
Where does
with that word?
You know what I really like about your format is that this isn't live. So like we can jam and search stuff up, and man, I feel like it has such a different like level of jam to it, because like you and I can literally like I might let a swear or two fly, and like
Yeah.
we can look stuff up and of little look trivial, of little value or importance.
So trivial takes away the significance, but the first three words were pretty like serious.
Trivial, because trivial is one of the keywords: small, precise, or trivial. So I think that's why I got an insignificance vibe, the
Mm.
minutia of everyday life used in the sentence.
Yeah, I find, to your point, what's cool when it's not live is you can also, like, not only can I edit this whole part out where we like go into it, but I'll probably keep it in, but there's
Right, because it's cool, right?
yeah, there's no
I'm a weird
pressure
nerd
because we're
for
not
that. I love.
live. You don't see a number of how many people are watching you right now, and then that number gets in your head because it's what Tim Ferriss calls vanity metrics, and all the vanity metrics that go on are kind of get stuck in people's heads, and then it removes you from thinking of your total goal at the end. Like my end goal is enough that if I get 50 views on a show versus 400, it's not the end of my world. It doesn't ruin my day. It's not like, oh, because I used to be obsessed with the vanity metrics, and now it's the impact I try to make. And it's like, okay, the goal is clear. This is the direction we're taking. If this video gets less views or watch times than the next one, it's like, that's fine, because what you're bringing to the table versus what, say, Connor's brought or what my next guest is bringing, there's each of them kind of, there's this big puzzle of positivity that each one of you kind of fits in the mold. And then it kind of helps drive the whole goal at the end, which is, that's what we're trying to do. And it's perfect because I'm like, man, we got this, flows easy. There's no pressure on it. We're not trying to focus on numbers. We're trying to focus on like quality. So
Right,
we're
man.
going with
I
it.
love it. We're rolling with it. Okay, so
So the details of
so
the show,
yeah,
yeah.
minutia. Yeah, don't so now that we've Googled this and we understand, don't sell yourself short by saying minutia.
Okay.
Call it like not even nitty gritty, but call it like the meat and potatoes.
Okay. We're gonna break down and get to the meat and potatoes of
Yo.
how you deal with being in the rut or the worst case scenario, or dealing with something that feels like the world might be caving in or like the world's against you and nothing's working out, and how do you come out of that and make the best of a literal worst situation you could be in. So, and throw
Right.
some examples of ones you've been in and how you've achieved, and how other people, knows there's a lot I'm putting on you, but other people can use what you've
Yeah.
been through.
So there has been, throughout my life, there's been actually several very, very impactful times where negative situations have been thrust upon me. So I want to caveat all this by saying that I, in no way, shape, or form, I in every single way, shape, and form lived a fairly to very privileged childhood. Right, I grew up in the upper middle class, you would say. Um, had amazing parents, a good group of friends, but there were several times in my life where I really did go through some pretty hardcore stuff, dating all the way back to when I was a kid. So when I was 7, I was in grade 2. So like 6 or 7, I was diagnosed with Legg-Perthes disease, where the ball in my hip joint disintegrated, and I had to wear these like Forrest Gump style leg braces. Well, first I started in a traction, then a cast, then these leg braces, and I had to wear those for 5 years to keep my hips immobilized, to keep my hip immobilized while that bone grew back.
Wow.
Right. So this was at a young age. I was very much immobile, and I was looked at a little bit differently. I was treated differently by teachers, whether they meant to or not. Like I was made to stay inside during, you remember those track and field days in
Yeah.
elementary school when
Yeah. The best.
every single kid is outside, no matter if they're good, bad, what at sports,
Everybody
whatever they're
participates.
trying out, they're not, everyone's outside. The kids that are not are playing like the hand games and stuff, like
Yeah.
nice weather, right? Not this guy. This guy had leg braces on, so he
Mm,
had to stay in the class and watch from inside. Or trips to the Big Nickel,
yeah.
field trips to the Big Nickel. I was brought to the Big Nickel, but not allowed down into the mine. I had to stay in the lobby and trying to make the best of it. I
Yeah.
found a scavenger hunt that I started doing, and my teacher came up and like pretty much scolded me for not staying in the lobby. She found me like outside because I was looking for like this specific type of rock or something.
Yeah.
Um, so that had an impact on me, but my parents, they first of all, they never coddled me.
Mm,
They always kind of made me kind of like manage myself in that regard. Like never,
nice.
they made from the very beginning, they made me climb up the stairs. As tough as that was for them,
Mm-hmm.
like my dad, that's like one of the only times that I didn't even see it. I was just told this by my mom later when I was older, is that
Yeah.
was like one of the only times he's ever cried, is when I'm like
Wow.
asking them to help me up the stairs and they're saying no, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to make me be self-reliant,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Learn
Smart.
how to get up the stairs.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Um, and my mom just said, she's like, she drove it in all the time. She's like, you know what, Kris, there's going to be some people out there that like say things or to you that you don't like, or that are mean, or people that you don't like, but you just gotta like deal with that and just keep going on your own path. So
Yeah.
that was a first phase. But in that, I learned how to skate with my braces on. I learned how to ride my bike with my braces on. I
Wow.
was I was winning like school obstacle course races with those braces on. So it was like drilled into me from the very beginning that these braces weren't a thing that could slow me down. Like it wasn't in my mind that I was a kid with braces.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like continue living my life, but I had these things on my legs.
Right.
So that kind of set me up for
Tough.
success on that
Yeah.
front right from the get. I got those off in grade 5. And then I had a great run. Actually, like grades just shortly after that, like late grade 5, this kid started bullying me, and he bullied me like all the way through to grade 9. Like literally bullied me out of my high school. Like I had to
Oh.
go to a different school. But even that, even the bullying, it wasn't like it was weird stuff. Like it wasn't like it didn't affect me outside of school. Like I didn't dread going to school because he was going to be there.
Okay.
It was more of just like, it was annoying to have to deal with that.
Yeah. It's just. Yeah. I see what you mean. Just annoying to put up with.
Like I like it didn't. And again, this may be based on the way that I got through the braces thing,
It
but
might have been.
it was never, the bullying was never like, I never dreaded going to school. I never felt uncomfortable. I was just like, ugh, like get out, like,
Like, are you done? Yeah.
yeah, like get out of here. Right. So like, grade
Nice.
9, it got to a point where I just like, you know what, like I'm done with this guy. I'm just gonna move schools,
Yeah.
and then he can't bother me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So had a great run from grade 10 to 12. Like my core group of friends was rock solid. Like couldn't played hockey, played soccer in high school. Like had a solid run. And then in senior year in grade 12, my victory lap, actually, my best friend killed himself.
Wow.
Yeah,
What was that like?
Brennan, yeah, it was effing terrible.
Yeah.
He suffered from a little bit of depression for the last like 6 months. He was just
Mm,
kind of held up in his basement, couldn't really find any motivation
yeah.
to do anything, to leave the house. Like we went over there to see him on spares. We invited him out. Actually, the night before he died, we invited him out to go watch a Lockerbie hockey game, and I was gonna have some people over after,
Nice.
and he, to no avail. He stayed home. We went to the game. We came to my house after, had some drinks, and I was awoken by my mom in the morning with the news that he had died.
Wow.
Excuse me. So that was super rattling. Like
Yeah.
when I say best friend, I mean like was going to be the best man at my wedding. Was going to be the godfather to our
Right.
first
You don't
kid.
use that term lightly.
No, like
Yeah.
I mean like best friend for life kind of thing, right?
Wow.
So,
Too young.
yeah, too
Way too young.
young, too soon. Like, and
Jeez.
he was such a bright. Brendan was such a bright light in this world. Um, just an all around
Hmm.
terrible thing. So that really rocked me, and that kind of threw me into a little bit of a tailspin. Not that I would admit it at the time, because I didn't want to admit that that was having such an impact on my life
Right. It's tough.
emotionally.
Tough
But
to admit that.
looking back at it did rock me. It kind of like, if I really look back at it and really reflect on it, it really did kind of like kill a little bit of an innocence in me. Like I went from like this really goody two shoes kind of vibe to, I spent like a solid like 3 or 4 months like really not giving
Wow.
out of, right. So
Yeah. Just
but was still like a good kid, but just had like a little bit of a loss, like a
yeah.
little bit of a, I don't even know what you would say.
Right. But rightfully so. I mean, I haven't experienced a death close to me like that, and I can't even imagine what you must have gone through, let alone what his parents and other friends of his must have gone through. That's like an incredibly
and
awful thing.
and being his best friend,
Yeah.
I was kind of I was at the nucleus of this thing. So not
Yeah.
only was I managing my feelings and emotions, but there was his families, there was all of
Yeah.
his friends and all of our friends, and like I like
Oh man.
so that like the whole thing was just this crazy
Jeez.
crazy, like the
Wow.
final, that it was in February, so that whole last half of the year slash summer leading into university was just crazy.
Hmm.
But it also I've never actually really thought about this exact point, but it also kind of gave me, it was the first time that I kind of really went all in on the, like, there's only one life here.
Yeah.
Like, life is fragile. So like I just that's probably the biggest thing that changed about me, is that I stopped worrying about the minutia. That is where that
Yeah.
makes sense, because
I love it. Yeah.
man, when I tell you I was a neurotic little kid, like in grade 4 and 5, I would sometimes forget my schoolwork, like schoolwork at home, the work that had to be done for the next day, and I would be so stressed about not having it done, that I would like wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and go to school and go into school with just the janitor so I could do that work so it would be ready. And like that whole night before, it would just like eat my
So
soul.
stressful. Yeah.
Right? Like just I remember being at sick kids appointments in Toronto with my dad, and just us out for dinner and just being so stressed that I didn't bring the work that I needed to do. Right. And then after Brendan died, it was just kind of like, just like, you know what? Everything, like, life's too short to worry about that.
Mm,
Right. Everything kind of became less, kind of smaller scale
right.
importance. Right.
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot to process at that age, by far.
And then fast forward to 2017,
Yeah.
and we went through the whole Everett thing, where he was born severe heart disease and open heart surgery, and watching him like battle for his life, and like all of like watching Leslie and
Yeah.
Zoe and everyone kind of go through that. So when it comes
Wow.
to the hard knocks,
Mm-hmm.
my life has generally been very privileged. I've been
Yeah.
very fortunate to live a privileged life, but there's been a series of wildly major events that could have knocked me right down and knocked me out.
Yeah.
But it's important that it doesn't. And I honestly am grateful for these challenges, because it really has kind of like forged me into this like relentless, driven individual that really can't be defeated. Because honestly, what between overcoming a severe physical disease,
Yeah. At a young age.
the suicide of my best friend,
Yeah.
and 3 open heart surgeries, and a severe heart disease of our like
Your
newborn
child. Yeah.
infant, toddler son. Like,
Yeah.
what else is gonna happen? What else is gonna happen to me
Yeah.
ever that is that can hold a candle to that?
Yeah. Nothing really.
I'm
Like,
invincible, bro. I'm invincible.
I love it. Dude. So what would you kind of tell yourself when you be in those, like, in the trenches, going through, whether it be the worst part of the Everett experience or the worst part of like rock bottom in those examples you gave? What would you tell yourself to dig out of the hole?
So the way I did it, and the way I did it, and for the first 2 examples, it was kind of like I didn't really do a lot of thinking on it or reflecting on it.
Right.
But as I reflect on my experience with Everett, the way that I managed my emotions, and was literally to have blind faith. I had a blind faith and a blind optimism that everything was going to be all right in the end. And that's how I kept myself kind of guided with that North Star, is like, everything is going to be great. So all
Mhm.
you have to do is just manage the day to day on things that are like new advancements that we're getting, new information,
Right.
like his progress. All we have to do is manage that, because he is going to be fine.
Right.
And that doesn't that I'm very aware that there are flaws with that,
Mm-hmm.
because the problem with that is that my entire emotional structure is built on a foundation that it's going to be all right. So when I get bad news, and that foundation, a block pulled out of that foundation,
Yeah.
I'm rocked, right? Because something that I've built my entire emotional ecosystem around has changed.
Yeah.
So I'm more of an emotional roller coaster in the sense that I ride highs high, but
Mhm.
my lows are like crashed,
Right.
right?
It's
Whereas Leslie, like, I couldn't have survived this without Leslie, my
right.
wife,
Absolutely.
because Leslie is much more tempered emotionally, where her expectations are managed in a way that she doesn't ride the highs too high, but she doesn't hit the lows either. So she's more like this,
Ah, okay.
right? So
Very
she's not
neutral.
getting super excited when there's progress. She's happy, but she's like, okay,
She's like,
Kris, like,
good. Yeah.
right, this, yeah, good, right,
Like,
okay.
yeah.
But then when something bad happens, she's like here, whereas I'm like here and here,
Yeah.
which is great when it comes to balance in a relationship, because when I'm
100%.
here, and she's here, I'm able to pull her up. And then when I'm here and she's here, she's here to
Yeah.
pull me up, right? And
Right. You
whereas
levels you out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas if we were both the same person,
Excuse me.
these highs are crazy, but these, like, the lows are gone. Like,
Yeah.
we're like off orbit,
Right. And
gone.
I'm sure
Right?
with what you're telling me about her, I'm sure the way being that way probably helps a lot in those situations, especially you being someone so energetic about things. Like I can see you getting really happy and then getting like really sad about when there's bad news versus when there's good news. And I think that helps for sure to have somebody who's able to balance it out, be not the opposite emotion of you, but more
A
level headed, let's
complementary
say. Yeah.
emotion. Because, dude, I actually said this really articulately the other day for the first time, and I was like, I talked about, I forget who I was talking with, but we were talking about Leslie and mine and my relationship,
Nice.
and and I likened it to like a gravitational force, right?
Okay, cool.
Keeping me in orbit,
Mhm.
because similarly to these crazy highs and lows are, like, with my enthusiasm can sometimes get a little bit too much, so much so that I kind of like really go a little too far in one direction or another. And without Leslie being there to be that kind of like tempered, balanced, kind of high vision kind of person,
Mhm.
like I'd go off orbit all over the
Right.
place. She's kind of like a magnifying glass that takes a whole bunch of energy and kind of
Mhm.
focuses it onto certain things.
Nice. And now I think there was something that my a few years ago I did a service trip, volunteer service trip in South America, and the last time I saw my trip leader was when we were leaving the airport back in Ottawa. All go our separate ways after the like 2 weeks we all spent together in the rainforest, and she said this to me, and she said, Glenn, just remember you can never control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to what happens to you. And I think with the way you've reflected on your most recent like downfall, like the whole Everett situation at the beginning of his life, I think the way you dealt with it seems to be the embodiment of that, where it's just day by day, just taking in the information and going with that.
Well, yeah, and that's like, I think at the core of what a difficult decision is. I mean, at like every single difficult decision or difficult circumstance or unfortunate situation presents a choice. It presents a choice, right? And you have, and as humans, we have the choice to either take that unfortunate situation and use it as an excuse to kind of shut down and self-pity and kind of crumble, right?
Mm,
Or we can use the difficult situation as an opportunity to look at yourself and really push through it and learn about yourself and grow as a human and actually come out better on the other side.
Right.
The fact of the matter is that shitty situation is happening regardless of
Yeah,
how you feel about it, right?
absolutely.
Like Everett has a heart disease. It doesn't like, I hate it. I don't want it to happen. I want to
Right.
pull my heart out of my chest and give it to him, but none of that matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's happening. So
Yeah.
am I going to become a shell of a human and get destroyed and just go inside and just,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's already bad enough that this is going on. The last thing I want to do is like lose myself in the process,
Right.
right?
Right. That wouldn't be healthy for him either. Nobody else would benefit from
Right.
that. Yeah.
That was the first couple of weeks. The first couple of weeks, I was falling victim to that. And then Leslie found Pursuit, and I started going there, and I started like, really, I was able to just for 2 hours a day, just like straight up blinders on,
Mm-hmm.
and go into a space that I was not only comfortable in, but I excelled at. I was the
Nice.
master of my universe for 2 hours a day.
Nice.
And I was able to keep myself calibrated to be the dad that Everett needed and the husband that Leslie needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm a puddle, I'm no good to anybody.
Yeah.
And Leslie needed me to be strong, and Everett,
Oh
right,
yeah.
as much as he wasn't even aware, right, he was heavily sedated, and he was in a whole different universe.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do anything about that. The only thing that I could do is just put him in an emotional space where he was best equipped to fight this fight. And I needed to be the best version of myself and able to provide that environment for Everett and for Leslie. So, and then what came out of that is like, I got fit, right? Which put me in a better mood. So it's now this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
I heavily got into a sport that has created dozens of new friendships.
Nice.
And like, it has awoken me to like a new passion that I'm very fired up about. Like, so I'm actually, if you look at it, if you take the tail of the tape and you go 2017 Kris and Kris now, pre and post Everett,
Yep.
I'm probably a better person right now than I was 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that could have went completely opposite way. I could have been destroyed, right?
Yeah.
But like, then there's 2 casualties, and then Leslie's wrecked, and then Zoe's wrecked, and my friendships, right? The trail of devastation that's left in my wake is countless if I go the opposite way. So, it was really a conscious choice. And if it wasn't for the leg Perthes, and if it wasn't for the Brendan suicide, because of the privileged nature of my life, I may not have been emotionally equipped to handle that, hadn't I gone through those tumultuous experiences earlier
with your
on.
parents. Yeah, with your parents helping you, making it clear that you need to be the one doing it yourself. And then that giving you the strength to deal with the bullies when that could honestly have impacted somebody else a lot worse. Whereas you're like, yeah, it's just really annoying and I wish it would stop, but whatever. It's like it rains all the time. You're like, what's going on? But yeah, and then that gives you the strength to deal with your the death of your best friend. And then,
So now think about this, okay?
Right.
It's such a granular concept, but if my parents would have carried me up the stairs every single time, that was like the foundation of this
100%.
Right?
Definitely. And that was a tough thing for you to go through, I imagine.
I was so young, I don't even really remember that.
Oh, nice.
because at the point that I was at an age that I can remember it, I was already flying around. Like I had already like forgotten that I was wearing these things
Mm-hmm.
and was just cruising. Like the first recollection I have, I think, is in like SK.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have these leg braces. There was a set of monkey bars in my SK classroom, and I'm like legs out in a V, right, in these braces, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like cruising along these monkey bars. Think about it, dude. My upper body strength was wild because when I was in these
Yeah.
braces and these casts, the most efficient way to move as fast as possible was to legit run like a gorilla, like
Yeah.
hands in front of me, like leaping and kind of like literally running like a gorilla
Jeez.
would run, right? So
Yeah.
my upper body strength got out of control.
Incredible. Yeah. Ah.
Right, so like it all plays like all boils down, and it ties itself in a nice little bow, is that
Mm-hmm.
not only not only can these difficult situations be used as an opportunity to look inside yourself and really push through, but what that pushing through does is it tells you that you have the ability to defeat whatever comes against you. And for me it was leg disease, bullying, and medical issues with my son.
Mm-hmm.
But every single person has different stuff in their life and different
Right.
experiences, and thinks about things a certain way
Right.
and reacts to things a certain way, and has a subjective way of looking at the world, and that everybody has their thing
Mm-hmm.
that they have to go through. And the magnitude of one person's experiences doesn't downplay another person's experiences if they're
Right.
on the same level, because
Yeah.
they're both going through it.
Right.
So
Let's dive into this a bit. Yeah.
it's a general sense of, if you're going through something terrible, if you defeat that thing, then you're stronger the next time, and then
Right.
you're stronger the next time, and you're stronger the next time, until the point where you're literally impenetrable, because you've gone through it, and you gain this ability to look at things in a certain way that allow you to better cope and manage these
Right.
difficult processes as they come.
100%. Now, how important is it to reflect on these moments that occur?
So I am admittedly terrible at self-reflection.
Yeah.
Like actually really bad. I spend approximately zero time looking back.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's the way that you should do it, but that's just the way that I feel most comfortable and emotionally able to handle things. Is if I spend all of my time focusing on moving forward, that feels productive to me, and
Okay.
that's
Right.
where I find my comfort zone, right? Like kind of comfort in the
Nice.
chaos,
Yes.
type stuff. That's not just like,
Yeah. It's
so
not
that's
taken
just me.
away.
I think
Right.
that there is a lot of value in, but I'm not tone deaf to what has happened. I have an unconscious understanding of experiences,
Mm-hmm.
which I use to build this kind of arsenal of emotional
Yep.
weaponry, right?
Right.
But actually consciously self-reflecting, and I use conversations like this to do, like, a lot of my self-reflection comes through conversation
Mm-hmm.
like this and with other people, because it forces me to self-reflect, because
Right.
I'm communicating with someone on a subject. So
Mm-hmm.
I've actually thought of things and actually reflected on points in this conversation that you and I have had right now
Well,
that I haven't thought of before.
right. You just talk it
So,
out when the
which
moment comes up.
is a crazy thought,
Yeah. Yeah. It
right?
is.
But the value of self-reflection is huge. I mean, like for obvious reasons, for you to look back and see the way that you maybe communicated with someone or the way you did something and how that can be improved and lessons learned. And
Mm-hmm.
right. So self-reflection is a big piece. I don't do it consciously, but I think I do it unconsciously,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of build build on that kind of subconscious level.
Right. Okay.
If that even answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Now, let's if we dive into that a bit more, not so much reflection, but you mentioned I think you mentioned your wife found a pursuit, and it was along that conversation line where we were getting into where you mentioned something about going to like a comfortable place, and you ended at like 2 hours, right? What was your outlet for that situation so that you could come back to earth, be yourself, and then deal with the present situation instead of getting outside your head? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember it deeply. It's forever ingrained in the fabric of my existence, and one
Nice.
of the reasons why I was able to get through that whole situation. So the facility was called Pursuit OCR,
Right.
and it's this fantasy land obstacle course facility. Like, you go in
Mm.
there, there's black lights, there's fluorescent colors, there's art all over the place. It's a
Mm.
creative's wonderland, right? And it's
Cool.
this obstacle course
Yeah.
facility. So not as much Ninja Warrior obstacles like you would see on the show,
Yeah.
but more like it was all built out of wood and this massive thing, and rope nets and
Cool.
climbing walls and tires and ball pits, and
Yeah.
like so so this place, it was like a wonderland.
Wow.
You stepped into it, and you physically stepped into a different world. So that's kind of maybe one of these things that really helped in this therapeutic manner, was that not only was I going into a place where I was the master of this domain, but I was literally stepping into a different universe. You go in
Mm-hmm.
there, it's black light, colors, art, this
Oh
like
well.
crazy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was also this like fitness corner where I did a little circuit. So I
Yeah.
would go in there, enter this twilight zone, literally think of nothing else except for how fast I can do the course,
Yeah.
how many push-ups I can rep out, how close I can get to the wall and
Mhm.
still make it up to the top. And like that was it. Like nothing else existed in the world except for this facility. And what that did was it satiated a part of my soul that kind of allowed the batteries to recharge. I'd go
Nice.
there on empty. I'd go there on empty. I'd leave with full. I'd skateboard there.
Sweet.
So I
Yeah.
I warmed up on the way there. I spent 2 hours there. I skateboarded home on full. And then by the time I got back to that hospital, I took a shower, and I was like a completely different human than when I left.
Nice. That's a sweet outlet. Yeah.
It's like it was the outlet. Honestly, I want to give a shout out, Will. If you see this, you know how much Pursuit means to me, and I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for everything that you and the whole Pursuit family has done for me and my family. So much so, Glenn, that I did an interview like kind of like this. They're putting together kind of a little project about like the people that Pursuit has impacted and things of that nature. And so
Nice.
him and I chopped it up for like an hour, hour and a half a couple weeks
Cool.
ago. Um, and he told me, he's like, "Yo, dude, like," because I told him, I was like, "Hey, man," I told him about Evie's like upcoming fourth surgery.
Yeah.
And I was like, and he's like, "Yo, dude, I know we're closed, but you know, when you're down here, hit me up, and
Yeah.
I'll let you in for
Right.
like for some time, right? And
Yeah.
we'll just make sure like
Make
everything's
an
cleaned up
exception.
and stuff after you leave."
Yeah.
So like that right there, that
Wow.
like how much that means to me, for him to know, for him to appreciate, and for him to be like, "Yo, dude, like anytime you're in town, regardless of what's going on, like you're like pursuits got your back.
Man, I love that. That says a lot also to who you are to them as well. Like that says a lot about your character and how they see you. Like they wouldn't just let some average member come in, you know? Like there's got to be something exceptional that they see or that they gravitate towards for them to put themselves out like that to do that for you. So that's incredible, man. Wow. No, we're freezing. Yeah, incredible.
Pause. Can we take a time out?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm empty.
All right, yeah, I'll pause or Zoom recording. Awesome. TV timeout over. Yeah. Sweet. So you got your wine all filled up and we're ready to get back to it. So with that then, that's perfect time to segue.
Yo,
So
hold on. Hey, be real with me.
yeah, always.
Be real with me.
Okay.
Do you mind that I'm drinking drinking wine during this?
Doesn't matter to me.
Because I've seen some like hardcore people like take offense to someone like drinking a coffee or something.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
We can get into this, but with that, I was talking to my friend about it today. I was like, what I do have an issue with is the goal is being, it's almost like an educational like advice, like tips, tools. Like I like building up people, right? And providing that, almost like instilling enough like leadership, enough like giving you the tools to go find the skills you need to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
And that's the goal of what the show is. If you're sitting smoking weed on my show, like talking about some like girl you hooked up with 2 weeks ago, that's not really what I want on like people to hear. Nobody cares. I don't care. Talk to me about it another time off like the stream. It's not something that I think is productive or really good. Like those type of questions, even then it's like that's not really a topic you'd probably feel comfortable discussing, nor me. And it's kind of one of those things that it's like, who cares? Like it's silly.
Yeah.
It's silly, right?
Yeah.
So it's a level of professionalism.
It doesn't support the mission of the program.
And exactly. And I have like a big list, like my mission, values, the goals, what does and doesn't affiliate. So if somebody gives me an opportunity or wants to come on and I go, man, like you could bring a lot of attention to this, but your brand is this, and I don't really affiliate with that, then it's kind of, my hands are tied. So
whereas when you're in here dropping truth bombs that are going to be like super helpful to like
100%.
a ton of people, having a glass of wine casually while it's happening is a little bit of a different scenario.
Right. And it's clear to me, because we talked earlier like this week and before you even started really drinking, you're not drunk, you're not really slurring your words. I don't really like, you're still speaking normally as you were a few days ago. So it's like, okay. It's the same. So it's not really the biggest deal to me. So yeah, it's casual, right? Like that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. And that's what
exactly. I was just about to say that. This is like if like this conversation would be the same if I was at your place and we were just like chopping it up in your living room. That's basically what we're doing here.
Right. That's what I try to emulate with not just you, but the 30 some other people and the other people that will come on the show. Like it's, man, we're just trying to have a conversation and I just want to learn. And I'm supposed to co-pilot this conversation so that somebody watching and listening anywhere on whatever platforms are able to pick out things that could benefit them. It's not a game. We're having a conversation. I just kind of guide it to a point where people are able to get things out. Like, yeah, so you can't just start talking, right?
Value out here. We're just trying to bring
you understand. You understand for sure. And it's like it's a journey, and I'm just co-piloting the plane, man. That's all. So
you're a great co-pilot, man. It's easy. it's very easy to have a conversation with you. And one thing that you do really well is when I go off, when I go off and I start diving deep into something,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to both keep that conversation happening,
Yeah.
but not lose track
Right.
of a point that was being discussed before, that you
Nice.
can kind of take this, extract that, and then get back to this
Right.
and continue this without that being lost, which kind
Yeah.
of ties the whole big
Tie it
picture
together, bring it. Yeah.
together, and really
Exactly. Nice, man.
gives people kind of like the full story. I really
Yeah.
like the way you conversate, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, man. Like, it really does. Cheers. And I think I could attribute that to, it's a self-awareness thing only with, I've had the issue of going off on tangents, telling a story, just making it way too long, throwing way too much detail in, to a point where a few people pointed out, they're like, we know you like to tell stories, but man, where's the point? Or like, it's too long. So like, this is in my younger years, and I was like 17, 16, 18, 19, 20 even. And I'm like, all right, I got to start finding my point and keeping it going. So being aware of that as something, I have friends and mentors who are able to like be straight with me, where they're like, hey man, you're doing this a lot, it's great. And I'm like, give it to me straight. And they're like, you're doing this a lot, and I think it's taking away from what you actually are trying to say. I'm like, all right, it's a good point, thank you. And then try to be aware of it, and then step one, being aware, right? And then it's just bringing it back. So it's
And
good, it's awesome.
to your point about mentors and your circle of influence, I mean, that it's so important, and it's so great that you have people around you that will tell you straight,
Yeah,
right? Because being surrounded by only people that say you're the greatest thing that they've ever seen
they're lying.
is no good, because that creates a level of delusion that will
Right.
prevent you from kind of seeing the true and most effective way forward.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but you have to be able to be emotionally equipped to deal with that criticism,
Right, that's tough.
right? Because that's hard. That's a
Mm-hmm.
difficult thing
Ego for
for
sure gets
for
hit
lots
a little
of
bit.
people, is for our egos to be okay with
Right.
people that don't know us, but I find more challenging the people that are the closest to us to not like what we're doing, right? It takes a level of humility, and a level of humility, and really like kick your ego at the door to be able to take that criticism
Right.
and apply it to make things better, or take that criticism and build it into the framework of whatever you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some things you're not going to hear, some things you're going to hear, some things you're going to implement, some things you're not. But to be able to take what people are telling you and apply what works to move forward,
Mm-hmm.
right, takes a level of humility and
Right.
ego at the door to get that done. So not only do you need people around you to say that, you have to be emotionally equipped to be able to handle that and implement that into your day to day, or
Right.
into the framework of whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the guy ended my podcast I had on a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to him, Kevin Slow Jam and James. He gave kind of like the whole rundown, and then said, I was like, man, is there any like last minute pieces of advice? And he's like, real, recognize real. And my point to what we're saying with that is, if you are committed to yourself and you're just being yourself, the ego shouldn't really be there. Like, we all have an ego, but that's just comes with who you are. Everybody has one, right?
Yeah.
It's what drives us to get up in the morning, drives us to get more money, drives us to have more things, like more money, more things, more like places to go, experiences to have. And when mentors recognize that you're trying to improve yourself, it's a lot easier for them to be, hey, I got to deliver some advice to you that will really help you out. I'm pretty sure Glenn will know like how to take the advice. He'll know it's not personally
And this
me
is
personally
coming from a
attacking,
good
right?
place.
And it's like, this
It's coming
is,
from a good place.
yeah, it's coming from a good place. It's not aggressive. It's like, they also know how to deliver it, which is key,
Right.
right? Because if you say,
Right.
hey, that sucked, it's like, well, that doesn't help anybody at all. So
But further to that, on the mentor side of things,
yeah,
is that the way that this guy delivers, the way that mentors deliver advice is different from person to person to person to person. The
absolutely.
way we
It's
communicate
unique.
is a person to person to person thing. That same advice that he's giving you may not work on someone else, because the way that we interpret, take in, observe, and interpret
Mhm.
incoming information. So, oh man, like, communication is so sweet, man.
Yeah,
How awesome is it?
man, it's wild. Like there's a lot of things you could do with it, putting
How
yourself out and
wild,
communicating. Like,
how wild is
oh
it
man,
when
it's
you
crazy.
think of the complexities, when you think of the complexities of human communication, okay?
Mhm.
How, like, literally every single person on earth has a framework of how they intake and interpret information.
Mhm.
And the biggest problem that people have, and I'm guilty of this
Mhm.
sometimes, is most people try to communicate in a way where they're trying to disseminate their ideas out. They're trying to communicate ideas, and they're doing so in a way that they think is right and is framed in their head,
Mhm.
right? They want to get their ideas and impose them on other people,
Right.
right? The way that you most effectively communicate, and this ties ego in to being
Mhm.
able to sometimes put your ego in the back seat, and is to communicate in a way that is most effectively interpreted and heard by the person you're communicating with.
Right.
Because unless that person you're communicating with understands the rationale behind what you're saying, you guys aren't going to get anywhere.
No, you're right.
So it's not about telling you what I think. It's telling you what I think in a way that you're going to understand and be able to appreciate, not what I'm saying, but the intent behind what I'm saying it with.
Mhm. Right, and it boils down. My jujitsu professor and I talk a lot about this, but it always comes back to intention. Like, what's your intention? If you're doing it to be mean, it's like, well, now clearly it's not going to go anywhere productive. The outcome's not going to be good. So
Yep.
communicating it properly is huge. And to your point, I think by implementing every day the form of communication you're talking about with, I think a lot of people, and here's something I've tried to develop at least as a skill as being a podcast host, is not only listening ability, but how that affects and interacts with communication. Is a lot of people listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. So at the same time of doing that, I'm trying to not just understand what you're saying, but formulate something else that I can say to break this down deeper. Right.
Right.
And that's where I think the exceptional conversationalists and speakers who are able to articulate and break topics down to such an intelligent and like fine detailed level, they have that ability like nailed, where they're able to like
like a
understand and then go,
like an interest,
yeah,
in what the other person has to say, right?
exactly. And
Because
that's what makes this so easy.
you're trying to talk to someone so that you can hear what they say, so that what they think and what you think can be combined into this kind of intellectual pathway where
Mhm.
you guys both kind of achieve a common goal, and that goal is, you know, explaining a point or understanding something, right? Like,
Right.
something that I've become, something that another thing that Leslie has like really impacted my life with is my ability, or my desire, or my looking into someone else's perspective. Empathy.
Nice.
Empathy.
Yes.
Not like, not taking offense to something that someone does because you think that they're doing it to slight you,
Mhm.
right? Because, like, to your point you said earlier, not a lot of people are always 100% caring about only what you do. A lot
Yeah.
of the time, no one cares what you do. You just think that they do. So if someone does something to slight you, it's very likely not on purpose. And
Right.
again, with checking your ego at the door and understanding where they're at, like, don't don't take that don't take that too seriously.
Right.
Be able to see that maybe that person's having a bad day,
Right. Yeah. Being
right?
considerate. Yeah.
Like if I like when I was younger, like when I was younger, if someone slighted me in the any way, shape, or form, I would get like so upset. I would feel like
Yeah.
it would feel like I would take so much personal offense to it because I would think that they were doing that intentionally to
Right.
offend me.
Like they're out to get you. Yeah.
Right, when like that's not what they're doing. Either they're
No.
having a bad day or that's just their personality or like what there's a million, like millions of different
Mm-hmm.
scenarios that very few of them, if any, have anything to do with me actually,
Right.
right?
Right. And there was a really cool exercise I used to do when I used to, so I used to run the leadership program out of YMCA Camp Falcona, right? Back when it was open.
Nice. Yo, I went
Yeah.
to Camp Falcona as
No
a kid.
kidding, dude. Oh, this is sick. Yeah, so did I. So did my little brother. Like that was pretty sweet. Yeah. So I worked there for like oh man, I went 2011, 12, 13, 14. I think yeah, I volunteered. I was leadership camper, volunteered, did staff, leadership program. Manager.
You were a camper 11, 12, 13?
Camper 2000 and damn, don't do this to me. Camper 2010, leadership camper 2011, 2013 I volunteered, 2014 I was staff, 2015 I was staff, 2016 I was staff, 2017 staff, and I think 2018 when it was the last year I like was there running things.
So you were there right to the end.
Yeah,
You
dude.
were
Yo, I hosted the last campfire with my little brother.
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's like my favorite memory. We're just sitting like singing like songs like Last Campfire, and we were like doing different. We did like a 007 like style and at the end where it's like we pretended we were like there was an invasion happening and we were trying to fight it, and like we were just fighting. We were just doing a bunch of different things all at once, and it was like it was crazy. Like it was out of control, but him and I had a lot of fun. And then for us to find out that it closed down was just sad, but we also were like, man, we hosted the last campfire that place ever had. Not bad.
That's legendary. You're in the
That's sick,
books,
eh?
bro. You're in the
Yes,
books.
sir. That's sick though. Yeah.
Did you know going into that year that it was your last year?
I almost, so there was a year that I had it almost, and I made it clear like this is my last year of working here and
So
being on payroll and everything.
no. Last year for you personally, or last year because you knew that the camp was closing down?
Oh no, I wanted it to be personally. I had no idea the camp was closing down. I had to find out from one of my leadership campers on Instagram. He like messaged me. He's like, "Hey Glenn, by the way." I was like, "Hold on a second." I actually picked up the phone because I was out working at the YMCA in Carlingwood, like lifeguarding, and I picked up the phone, excuse me, when I got this like message, and I like called Rob Grosha, and
I
I
love
called his
Rob. Rob
cell.
is sick.
Yeah, he's the best. And I was like he was my boss for like years. Picked up the phone, I called him, I was like, I left a message, and I was like, so I'm like, hey Rob, like if there's anything I could do to keep this alive, like let me know, please. He's like messaging me,
Yeah.
like, yeah, and then we got into talking about it, and unfortunately nothing was able to like fall through. But I mean, yeah, I guess.
Okay,
What it is.
I want to jam on Falcona a bit because that's like one of the
Do it.
greatest 2 periods of my whole life,
Oh man, I
dude.
know how you
Honestly.
feel. Yeah.
Okay, how unreal was that like 3-day Olympiad, like red versus
Oh
blue?
man. Oh man, the things
The
I've
red
done
versus blue
in front of
Olympiad, dude. Like
kids, like the
I
things I've
like
done for people in that week, the things I do for points, bro. Oh my God. Like I did, man, what was it? I ate an entire watermelon in this watermelon eating contest. They cut the top and I ate it, but it was no hands. So And then it got to a point where I couldn't put my face deeper. So I was biting the rhymes and spitting those out and chewing
Oh
it.
no,
I
bro.
ended up winning, man. I was like, we did this one where like you chug a pitcher of milk, but it's water, like one of the pitcher things, right? And is it come back? Yeah, good. It's come back. And I drink the pitcher of water, run around the dining hall, drink it again, and then tag off my partner. And when they do their round and come back, first team to win, like finish wins. Like crazy.
Listen to this story, okay? Dude, one time, this dude, so I forget what it's called, but after dinner, there was like this dessert, this treat that you got, right? It was like chocolate bar, or like a pet bar, or like whatever. There was a treat. Every kid got one. But if you got caught doing something or you were bad or something, that you lost your right to that dessert that night.
Oh, damn.
So this kid, right? This kid falsifies this story about me that I threw that I threw like a water bottle in the bush.
Yeah.
So the counselor rolls out to me. He's like, Kris, you lost your dessert for tonight. Like blah blah blah. Told me that you threw a water bottle in the bush. I'm like, I did no such thing. Like there is no way that I threw my water bottle in the bush. And I had to go the night without my treat, which was something that every single camper looked forward to, because this dude straight up fabricated a lot. Because the thing is, listen to this, Glenn. Listen to this. This is not going to make you feel good. And I don't even know why the system was in place, but he got, if you report littering, you get that person's treat. Okay, that's how the system works. Yeah. So I had to go through watching him eat my Mars bar, dude.
Oh, it was Tuck. It was Tuck, wasn't it?
Tuck. Yes. Tuck.
Damn.
That's what it was called. That's exactly what it's called. Tuck.
You said dessert and it threw me off. And then I was like, you're the Mars bar. I was like, oh, it's...
I had to watch him eat my Tuck.
Oh, that would drive me insane. Okay, look, do you remember his name?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, whoever you are, if you're listening or watching this.
Whoever you are. But whoever you are, even if I did remember your name, I wouldn't say it.
Coming to get you.
You know who you are if you're watching this. Imagine if that dude just like somehow saw this and was like, yo man, I gotta hit up Kris and apologize for that.
He buys you a Mars, you all of a sudden you receive a Mars bar on your front door. Just be like, sorry, bro.
Sorry about your Tuck, bro.
Yeah. No hard feelings, question mark. Like, oh, that'd be too funny. Yeah, man, yo, we can do, I was like, we can do a whole episode on just like camp stories. I have millions, like years, right? Like it's years of being staff, like full summers.
The swimming test that you had to take to go out to that diving
floating dock. Yeah.
The canoe, like getting your canoe badge and the ability to like go out and rip the canoes, like the archery.
Dude, archery is so much fun. Like, what was it? Man, I have
He's at that place, man.
Yeah, I'd have to do like a whole separate like episode with you about all this if we want to get into it. I got like people who can do it, everything. Like, oh man, I still have like one of my best friends I met there. Still, he's in Australia now. Shout out to him, Reese. But yeah, he's met him there. We were co-counselors during Survivor Week. Like we were like whole nine. Yeah, ride or die, bro. So.
Yo, that's cool. That's cool. There's also the YMCA connection between us.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, I guarantee he knows about the camps. Like, there's no way.
Was Dave Ethelston the director of Falcona when you were there?
When I was a camper in 2010, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But his what's it called? His wife is Erin, right? Yeah, she babysat me and my brother. So like it was weird, dude. Like they came, and I was like, oh yeah, I know you. She's like, hey Glenn, and I was like, I know you. And then she's like, oh, how do you, and it's like a weird, like little, like person menage thing. I was like, listening. I was like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, we all
Okay,
like mingled.
Aaron's sister, Caitlin, was my wife's maid of honor.
Wow.
They lived together all 4 years of university.
Oh, that's wild. That's pretty cool though. Wow.
Bro, there are
Oh man,
so many
chop it up.
different ties here.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Actually, wow. So with that, then, we'll do a whole nother. We can honestly do one day. Just have a conversation, sit down, have a couple glasses of wine, and talk camp stories all day. I do it with
Dude,
everybody.
yeah.
I'll do it with you. It's a lot of fun, man. Oh my god. Every day I'm like, man, remember that time we almost set a forest fire? It's like, yeah, probably shouldn't be saying that. But yeah, like man, so many. But and my buddy, what's fun is I'll listen to my buddies tell stories like about me in the camp world from their perspective, and those are even more fun for me. I'm like, man,
That would be
no way.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, man, I don't remember that, and you remember it so vividly. Damn, it gets me nervous. It's like, what else is out there? But yeah. And so with that being a children's camp, we'll segue into it. Tell us about your book. My very excellent mother just served us 9 pizzas, correct? Is the title?
You got it. Yeah, so it's an educational journey through the solar system, planet by planet, and it's basically a fun hip hop based kind of way to teach kids about the order of the planets and something about each planet along the way. So
Mhm.
the way the way that this project started, actually a pretty cool little genesis story to this. It's a fun little story. Is that my friend Corey Guibault and I, we wanted to get this educational musical YouTube channel for kids off the ground, to kind of like if Magic School Bus and School of Rock had a baby,
Oh,
right?
cool.
Instead of a classroom, it was a band, and the band went on this tour, and each tour stop was a different subject matter in a different genre of music.
Nice.
So we chopped it up for like 3 or 4 weeks. We had like a concept laid out. We were starting to discuss characters, but our schedules just couldn't make it work, and the project died. That being
Mhm.
said, I had written the first track already. I had written
Right.
the first hip hop track, which was going to be about bass. So, so I had these lyrics to the song, and Leslie and I have read like hundreds of books to our kids,
Mhm.
and we've always told each other, and my friends have and I have joked together that, you know, we can write a kids book. We should write a kids book,
Mhm.
so on and so forth. So I was armed with that kind of mentality, and I had the lyrics to the song. So I was like, you know what? Let's just turn this into a book, right? We had a
Mhm.
fun little rap song. Let's turn this rap song. Let's put it on wax, and let's drop a book. So I hit up a freelancer off Fiverr, who did my illustrations. I myself took his like raw 11 by 11 illustrations. First of all, that process was super seamless.
Nice.
Um, it had a lot. I had final cut on all the illustrations. I had unlimited revisions. We went back and forth, and I approved the pages as they were created. So that process was seamless.
Mhm.
I got it edited and laid out locally with a girl named Sherry Levine,
Nice.
Surreal Graphics, someone that I would never do a book without, ever. Any book I ever do moving forward and forever will have her involved, because
Nice.
the value that she brought to the project was absolutely
That's good.
unmeasurable.
Wow. Nice.
I took these illustrations, I put the words over them, and
Mhm.
she took it and like formatted it and paginated it into like
Wow.
an actual book.
That's
I
sweet.
had illustrations and words. She turned it into what you see here. What you see here,
Yeah.
right? She did she did did the legal page. She put together the dedication page. She did some Photoshop work on all the pages to make sure the bleeds and stuff were right. She moved some stuff around for me. She did she gave me suggestions and edits on actual, like, the editing of the verbiage. She put together the about the author page. She wrote the back cover. And then she produced all the high quality images and was the liaison with the printer, with copy also local, to actually bring it to fruition. So that process was crazy, and 100% self-published. I did a pre-sale round to fund the first print, which was cool. Forever in my heart, there are 170 pre-sale books, and forever from the bottom of my heart, I will always, always, always have the deepest level of gratitude for those 170 people, because, well, not 170 people, because a lot of them ordered multiple books. But those people were the basis of, those people were the kind of groundswell for this whole thing, because without them, I wouldn't have had the money for that first print. So I literally used the money from the pre-sale. I had people I did Pure Country. I did there was an article in the Sudbury Star. I did an article with CTV News. And there were because of that, there were people, strangers, that didn't know me from the hole in the ground, except for what they saw in that publication, that were literally hitting me up, sending me money, transferring me money, right?
Yeah.
And I would take their order, database it, and then once the books came, fulfill them.
Nice.
And that was crazy to me, and that was a little bit of a tap on the shoulder and be like, you know what, Kris, you're doing something right, because just having a book for sale wouldn't justify that level of trust. Like, you have to be putting out some pretty seriously good vibes for an absolute stranger to be like, here's $50.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like why buddy opened up the gym for you whenever you're downtown or down in the area. It attributes to who you are, right? Your character alone. Like, that's what sells the book. They're buying into the brand that is you, and then they get to enjoy this piece that you've created.
And you know what I did for each and every customer? Each and every customer, not only the first 170, but every single one, I am building an element of surprise and delight into the entire brand of what this book, not only this book, but the entire Rose Heart brand is. That's why you have every single book has, look at that page.
That's wild.
Look at that page, right? So in the first print, the first 500 copies, this page was blank, and I wrote all of this, handwritten. Okay? But that took a minute a page. When I got to the most efficient, fastest way of doing it, took a minute and 2 seconds. Okay, times 500 books. That's a shade over 8 hours that I spent handwriting in these books. But that to me was worth it, because
absolutely,
I want to show that level of gratitude and appreciation. You're giving me money for this book. I want you to enjoy not only this book, but I want to give you something a little bit more. I want to give you a little piece of me.
I like that.
But on an efficiency side of things, right, on an ops level, there were some efficiencies. So what I did with the second print, so basically what it is that on the first iteration, I would write the name of who the personalization is out to. Outer space is the limit. And then I had this saying, peace and love, my signature, my Instagram handle, and this cool little peace sign.
Nice.
Again, a minute and 2 seconds. So for the second print, what I did is I wrote it out, I scanned it, and it got included as part of the print
Nice.
but only the long saying at the bottom,
Yeah.
peace and love my handle, and the peace sign. So life is full of surprises. When you find one, remain calm and careful and listen carefully to the lesson it is trying to teach you.
Nice.
Okay? Peace and love, Cities World 705 with the peace sign. I still, on every single book with my own hands, personalize it, who it's out to. Outer space is the limit with my signature. So
Nice.
there's still the personal touch. I'm just not spending, because 1 minute and 2 seconds per book at 1,000 books is over 16 hours.
Yeah.
Is over 16
It
hours.
gets to be a lot for sure.
Even that saying, life is full of surprises. When you find one, remain calm and listen carefully to the lesson it is trying to teach you.
Mm.
That speaks to the thesis of this entire conversation, right?
Mm. Absolutely.
Calm water makes for shitty sailors, right?
Right. I like that a lot. That could be on a t-shirt.
Yo, shout out to my friend Jeff McGarry, because he's the one who said that to me.
Yeah. Well, shout
He's
out,
the
Jeff.
one
That's sick. I like
that
that a
told me
lot.
that. As Gary Vee would say, right? Being a wartime general, being a
Yeah.
peacetime general is easy.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about, and that's what I wanted to give to each and every person that opens this book. Before you read the book, you're taught something. There's
Okay.
something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for the kids, but for the parents. That's a real thing that a lot of people should think about.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. So now,
Eh,
question: what inspired you to donate 10% of book sales to sick kids? First of all, phenomenal idea. Like, I commend you for that. Wow. So, what
So
inspired that?
so obviously
Yeah,
Everett would not be alive if it wasn't for sick kids.
absolutely.
And not with anything ever in my life that I can possibly fathom doing will ever be able to repay what they have done for me. So I am forever in the debt of sick kids.
Nice.
So giving back to sick kids for what they have done has become to me not something that I should do,
Mm-hmm.
but like a duty that I have to
Yeah,
fulfill,
I like that.
just to simply try and even the tables a little bit, because
Nice.
like I'm a big believer in karmic balance
Yes.
and balance in the universe, and I do not like I am uncomfortable with the current level of what the universe has given me. So this
Yeah.
is a little bit of a way to kind of balance the tables a little
Right.
bit.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So now with that, then, how could I go about getting my hands on one? I have some nephews, I have some nieces. Plus, I really enjoy what you're doing. I love to support not only people who give me their like hour and a half of your time, like to come on my show, but like I have a buddy's hat from his apparel company, and then another buddy like mug. It's like I want to support what you're doing, the creative process, as you've shown support for mine as being on my show, by being on my show. So yeah, man, 100%. Like I got a few nephews that I think would enjoy a copy. So yeah, how could I get my hands on one ASAP?
So you'll get the VIP experience, and you and
Sweet.
I'll message you after this, and
Awesome. Yeah, we'll work that out.
I'll just get your info.
Sweet. Easy.
For everybody else that's watching, um, roseheartbooks.ca. One of my best friends in the entire world. Shout out to Curtis Voisin. He built this website from the ground up. Couldn't have done it without him. He kind of put it all together. So roseheartbooks.ca, and it tells our story. It tells about the genesis of the project, and right on that first landing page there's a buy now prompt for
Awesome.
and it's a very simple
Excuse me.
Shopify style checkout.
Easy.
Very simple, straightforward. It's free delivery.
Nice.
The system will recognize your postal code, and if it's within the greater Sudbury area,
Yeah.
it's free shipping, because that shipping is a personal hand delivery by yours truly.
Jeez.
Another
That's the best part about it. Yeah.
another surprise and delight. You know how many people I knock on the door and are just like blown away that I'm
It's you.
standing there with their book? Honestly,
That's wild.
just that makes it worth it. I delivered 2 books to the Valley today, and they were both like stunned.
Wow. Nice, man.
Yeah,
Wow. That's incredible.
yeah.
Yeah. So first of
So
all, roseheartbooks.ca will be in the description on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, and the YouTube description as well. You'll be able to see it
thanks, man.
pretty easily.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
dude. Easy. It's like the least I could do. So absolutely. Yeah, not even a worry. So yeah, that'll be available below. And yeah, hopefully that helps you out a bit too. So
That would be so
yeah.
rad.
So yeah, it's sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time we get to chat too. I think we could do some camp story ones. We can do like talk about mentorship. I'm trying to like gather topics. I'm like writing down a few things that I'd want to touch base on later. And I'm like, man, this is gonna be good. So,
Yo,
yeah.
you know that the conversation has been super enjoyable and good when you're sad that it's ending.
Yeah, it's like, man, it's getting
Like
late. Like,
I sense an end to
like
this,
these,
and I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
like I kind of want to keep jamming.
yeah. Like, there's a few things I want to keep talking about too. And I feel the one thing I feel is if we go as long as we could, whereas if we cut it and then I can always edit this out, right? Like, and we cut it, I can, if I have you on again in 2 weeks, then it's similar amount of time, maybe shorter, maybe a bit longer. And you're able to not only rehash some stuff with me, but now people know maybe a bit more who you are if they didn't already know. And then we're able to make something more out of that. And we could build on that. Like, I like when people come back for a second episode and then it's like, wow, this guy, well, he was really good. He was really energetic. They're a really good conversation. Can't wait to hear about what they talk about next. And then it's something we didn't even touch on. It's like same energy, different topic. Right. So I think that'll be
Exactly,
really cool.
and you get the benefit of the feedback loop. Maybe somewhere in a comment somewhere, there's going to be an idea that we can bring into it.
Absolutely. I think that would be really cool. Like, I'll try to find a way to promote that so that people are more likely to engage in the show. And because I get engagement here and there, but a lot of it, like about 80% probably comes to me personally. Like, people like, hey man, I like this, or you did that. And I'm like, I appreciate the compliments, but like, give me some
Put them in
more,
the
like give
comment
me a bit
section.
more. Yeah. Like Mitch Gagnon gives like solid feedback when he gives me feedback on the show. Like, he's been like a big, like, man, like try this or like get about that. So that's why like I'm like, man, if we can cut it up and splice it. So yeah, he's a good person when it comes to tough love, let's just say.
Back to our point, a
yeah,
very, very important player in the fabric
100%.
of who we are, or the people that are going to keep it real with us.
Yeah, exactly. Super nice dude, means well, but shoots straight as an arrow. So yeah, and it's pretty much, that's pretty much where I see the conversation going. We can get that engagement going, and hopefully in like within the next month or so, I could have you back on if you're interested, of course. And then we're gonna
1,000, dude, 1,000%. I have enjoyed this conversation so thoroughly.
Nice. I
that
appreciate that.
Yeah, if you called me, if you were like, yo, we should do this again tomorrow, I would do it. So if you wanna jam again, if you wanna jam in a couple of weeks, yo, dude, count me in.
And one thing we should talk about more when we get you on, hopefully like the project is like stemmed a bit further and it's going, but your second book as well that you're writing with somebody in, if I'm correct, it's the US and is it Australia?
UK.
UK.
So, yeah. So
I knew it was overseas.
we'll give a little bit of a taste,
Okay.
but we'll talk about this more. This is a really
Sweet.
cool thing to talk about on the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because oh man, I wish we could talk about it more now, because this the video premiere of the video that is being adapted into this book is on June 4th.
Okay.
But
We'll try to
yeah,
get you on before the. Oh no, June 4th. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
yeah, June 4th is like next week. So
Yeah.
like
We can
no
get you on
biggie,
my
no biggie.
Instagram live if you really want to
You
follow it
know
up,
what?
but that's up to you.
It'll be cool when we do chop it up. I'll be able to add that texture into the conversation instead of it being more promotional, which would kind of
Okay.
cheapen the whole thing.
Yes. Good point.
So I could say like we're adapting this book. This video has premiered. It premiered to this many people, and because dude, I'm like so maybe you might be able to give me some insight into this, because I'm basically the project manager for this book. But I don't like the term project manager because it seems a little bit too generic. I'm trying
Yeah.
to look for something a little bit more like literary specific, like more literature specific.
Yeah.
But it's a person, so the author, the editor, and the illustrator report to me directly, and then I report that directly to the creator of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm toying with the idea of like creative director.
I like that. I like that one. Something with creative, I think, is good. Manager, because not really.
Right, project. I
Yeah.
was a project manager in construction, so I kind of want to like get away from that a little bit.
Yeah, I think added like having creative director, or creative producer, or creative
But do you think,
executive. Creative executive could be one because it like
creative director sounds too
uh,
fluffy?
that's why I was thinking executive because it makes it sound
But
like
that's exactly what I am. I'm
like
directing. I'm not as
yeah.
much as an executive. I am a
Mm,
director. Like
I see.
I'm, I'm editing the author. I'm controlling what the editor, not controlling what the editor is doing, but I'm taking what the editor's feedback is, and I'm interpreting that and disseminating that through to the author. I am directing the illustrator, right? So I really am a creative. I really am like a the
Yeah,
creative director of this whole thing. Like almost
I
like
like that. That works.
I think that's what
It
I'm gonna
works.
go with.
Yeah, you seem pretty
I think
like good with it and like it works like it works with and it's very different from project manager versus creative director, like it's very
it
different.
sounds cooler. It sounds
It does,
cooler.
it definitely does. You have the
Yeah,
word
yeah.
creative, like
That's what I'm
you're
going with.
directing it. Yeah,
There you
man.
go. Finalized. Finalized.
100%.
You're a part of that. When you see somewhere big time, like when this thing becomes huge and it's like creative director Kris
Yes, sir.
Cacciotti, you can look at that creative director and be like, I was a part of that
Yeah,
finalization of that decision.
decent. Part of the game time decision. So yeah, absolutely, man. That's sick. That's sick. That's good.
So
And
that's a great thing. That's the great thing. Yo, dude, like between the genesis of how Kristen and I got in touch, which would bring in a little bit of the Gary Vee thing without
yeah,
actually breaching it yourself,
yeah,
like that'll bring that in, so that'll be good.
yeah,
Between that and the like international collaboration and how fast this thing got off the ground, and by that point how far we'll be with it, and we could talk about the film, and we can talk about like, dude, like that's easily another hour
yeah.
right there.
Oh, for sure. And I think, yeah, I definitely think chopping it up in parts like would be really good. Really good to this way. It's more focused on like we got to what the focus was for this one, but then getting to the
Yeah,
focus on the other one, I think will be a
completely
lot more
agree.
beneficial for both of us than it would
Huge.
be for like us to drag this out to 11:30 and then people only realistically watch the first half hour. So,
Right.
you know,
100%.
people
100%.
get intimidated when they see how long things are, right? So
Dude,
that's where it's
dude.
like, man, some people
Well,
do, some people don't.
lots of people do. I used to be like, if like a couple of years ago, if there was something that was like longer than like, well, not a couple of years ago, but when video first started popping, like if it was more than like 2.5 minutes, I was out, right?
Yeah,
But
true.
I've gotten more kind of now I've gotten a little bit more into the long form content, and I'm watching like 2.5 hour interviews. Like I am like 45 minutes into a 3-person conversation with David Rubin, Ben Shapiro, and Jordan Peterson, right?
Nice. Yeah.
But it takes 2.5 hours to really unpack
It does, yeah.
all of the stuff that those 3 people
Yeah, absolutely.
can put together to talk about, right?
True. Oh,
dude,
yeah.
It's been a slice.
It's been that, yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad that you were open to having the light on, because
yeah, it does. It helps.
Just having that light on, it picked my vibe up, like from here, like it was here and then I went to here before.
Sweet.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man. That's awesome. That's really
your
cool.
Moving forward. That's your look.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Zoom
I like
works
the
fine. Everything's good.
I like the basketball hoop.
I was waiting for somebody eventually to point that out. I was like, yeah, well, I have a ball somewhere, but yeah, we used to like ball a bit with like the little nephews and nieces, man. I got like 2 older brothers, each have 3 kids. So.
You know what would be a sick thing to do is get really good at behind the back shots, and like at the end of every show throw like
all right, thanks for watching.
Be like, yo, it was nice having you, man. Case signing off.
That'd be sweet, or I'll nail it once and then edit it in, but I think it would be better the way you're doing it. I think it would definitely be better the way you're doing it. It'd be more finessed. Like, yeah, all right, guys, mid conversation. So.
Yeah, be like, hey, we're out. See ya. It's like your sign on.
That'd be sick. I'll get on that. Like, that's a really good idea, man. Definitely pull that off. But yeah. So Kris, I really appreciate it, man.
Dude,
really appreciate your time, man. So yeah, I guess I'll see you soon then. I guess if I'm buying a book from you, and yeah, awesome. I'm in.
I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be dropping off that book. Okay.
All right, sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
Peace, brother.